Listen up. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast belong solely to the podcast participants, and not to any participant's employer, organization, committee, or other group or individual. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. You know, for fun. So lighten up and enjoy. Stomping Jen. This is an unusual episode.
I say.
Right? We just recorded an interview with Dennis Hackett from the newspaper The Reminder. Mm-hmm. And so what you're about to hear is that recorded interview. We asked for permission to record.
We did.
The interview. And he said yes. So you're going to be listening to this after the article appears in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But he also has to get permission.
Yeah, he has to get permission from his editor. So if you're hearing this, that means the newspaper article went out and got permission, and you get to hear us do an interview as ourselves. Somebody interview us.
We did this before.
Right? We did this with Scott M. Graves.
No, we did it with Melina Bordeaux from the Sentinel.
Oh, we did?
Yeah. Did we release that?
I don't think we released it.
Yeah.
I don't think we recorded that interview, did we?
I thought we did.
Oh, did we? Sorry, Melina, if we did. I don't...
No, we interviewed her.
We did?
And then she wrote an article.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, guess what? You get to hear another interview with us. But, and of course, I turned it into an interview of the interviewer. Of
you. We didn't interview him at all. We don't know anything about that.
I asked questions.
You didn't ask him a single question about himself.
All right.
We don't know anything about Dennis Hackett.
That's true. I interviewed myself on the podcast.
Yeah,
that was weird.
If you want to know more about the podcast,
yeah,
it was a self-interview.
Yeah, that was weird. But he did a good job interviewing us, I think, and dealing with us.
Yes.
Because we showed up here with on all of the podcast equipment. We did a podcast ambush.
All right, it's a very long intro.
Okay, here's the intro music, and we'll catch you on the other side real quick. Soft Serve Podcast. Creamy, delicious ideas without the creepy truck. Stomping Gem.
I just want to say something.
We're talking again. We're going to play our interview with Dennis Hackett from The Reminder.
Okay. During that little break,
yeah,
Sawtooth literally looked at me and said, "Do I go on too much?"
No, the answer is always no.
Huh.
I go on the perfect amount.
The perfect amount.
All right. Since we did the world's longest intro, without further ado, here is the interview that we did with Dennis Hackett from The Reminder. Enjoy.
You're not on. You didn't put him on the board. I can't see him.
Hold on. Sorry. Technical difficulties.
There
you are. You're up on our big screen now. Yeah. Super psyched to do this. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your sorry, now I'm interviewing you, but and your in your newspaper. I'm curious.
But now you don't have hit record.
It's newer, right?
Not exactly.
Recording in progress.
We've been around for probably, I think this year's like our 60th anniversary. But we just kind of, these past couple of years, we've been really expanding into new communities and stuff like that. So early this year alone, we went to Northampton, Amherst, and then Ludlow and Belchertown at the end of the year. And we have more kind of expansion plans, like for, I don't even know how long, but it's looking like we have a lot of plans to move forward with it. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
Not everybody I know in town gets the paper.
Yeah.
So who gets the paper and who doesn't get the paper?
I personally don't really have any involvement with that. And it's an extra issue with this paper because it's all done through the Republican. They do all our distribution. I'm not really sure who gets it or how they get it. I know, I think Jim Barry told me that he got it 1 week and then after that he didn't get it again. And then it's kind of hard to say what happens with it.
Yeah, but it seems like a little random. We are on the Ludlow Granby side, so I feel like we consistently have been getting it.
Yeah.
But a lot of other folks I know, because it's such a big town.
But it's one of those deals where somebody comes by in a car and throws it, out into the driveway.
Yeah.
It's one of those types of deals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In a little bag. Yeah.
Yeah. That's usually how it's distributed pretty much everywhere, but just this one specifically, I'm not sure why it's with the Republican, but
yeah,
it is.
Yeah, I was just curious.
And do you have a strong online presence?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like a lot of our stuff does get circulated pretty well online. Especially like I know because we've been in East Longmeadow for God knows how long. A lot of the stuff online there gets a lot of attention. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, well, I mean, this is your interview, so
no worries.
I'll sit here and ask you questions all day, so I want to give you a chance to ask us whatever you wanted to.
Yeah, so I guess
Sorry.
What did you guys get started with the podcast and what kind of got you started with it?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I mean, let me just start with saying, I have been a fan of talk radio kind of in a lot of its different formats over the years. So I listened to Howard Stern pre-pandemic for like 20 years. I started getting into podcasts about 7-8 years ago. And I kind of always wanted to do my own kind of show. It has always been an aspirational goal of mine. And then about 2018, was it? I can't remember when we started this.
3 years ago, I feel like.
Yeah, so 2018, I think, is when we started this.
That's right.
And the format of podcasting made it this idea of being able to do my own show, right? So much easier. Like, I feel like podcasting in so many ways has democratized the ability for people to do their own shows, right? You're no longer reliant on gatekeeping of a broadcasting company or producers. I mean, so long as you have access to the resources to be able to get the equipment and access to the services like internet or online hosting, you can do your own show. Mm-hmm. And so with the like increased availability of that access to the medium, I just decided to throw my hat into the ring and do my own show. So I just wanted to give it a shot. And so here we are 3-something years later.
Okay.
Well, it was like an independent idea that Brad had, basically.
Yeah.
Without me. And then he invested in some equipment, and then he was like, can you sit down with me and talk to me?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I had this idea of initially doing this with a group of my friends. 4 other friends of mine who I play video games with every week. And, like every group of people who sits around and talks and, you think you're funny and you think you're entertaining. And I said, oh, this would be a great podcast. So the first couple of episodes, you'll see them on there. They appear. And even though Stomping Gem here is on the first episode, I tried to corral that group of people into doing this show with me, but it did not work. Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is I'm most comfortable talking to Stomping Gem here at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so it evolved that way, sort of organically.
So he was doing this thing with his friends, sort of like, it didn't really have a lot of direction. Like, I would say to him, like, well, what's your target market? Like, who are you wanting to reach? And he's like, anybody. I will talk about anything. And I was like, well, that's not, most like podcasts have like a niche or, whatever. And, he just wanted to be like a
niche. They're about something, right?
Right. Yeah. And we didn't have there was no like actual direction for the podcast. And then Brad bought this stationary book of lists.
Well, no, I'm the George Costanza of podcasts. I initially insisted that it could be about nothing.
Yeah, you did. So anyways, but then he like got this list book. And so he had me sit down and he had this list. It was like, 100 lists or whatever?
It was a book of 100 lists.
100 lists.
Right. And so, and doing a podcast about nothing sounds easier in concept than it is. So
52 lists. It was a weekly thing.
52 lists about what?
Just for happiness.
Happiness.
So then we started doing this thing.
Yeah, so we started doing that, and part of the reason is doing a podcast about nothing sounds easier in concept than it actually is, right? And as a young podcaster, I found myself needing some framing, right? Needing some purpose. So a friend of mine had this Instagram account where every week they did one of these lists, 52 lists for happiness. So I said to Stomping Jen here, I said, this would be a great idea. We should use this every week. We'll center the show around one of these lists. It'll give us something to talk about. So we did that for a year. And as I got more experience hosting a podcast and being able to run a show and got more comfortable just talking, I think we didn't need the lists as much as a framing mechanism.
No.
And then the pandemic happened. And we pivoted. We pivoted a bit, as Stomping Jen says, to talking to more guests about what they were doing. So artists, people in community leaders, who else?
Mental health professionals. Because we really centered it around the pandemic and how it was affecting people at that point in time, because everybody was able to and knew about Zoom at that point. So it was like a perfect medium to get anybody to come on, talk to us for an hour or so and talk about different ways that they were navigating the pandemic and how it's affecting them.
Yeah. So through the first year of the pandemic, we had on almost a guest every week. Mm-hmm. And then I started getting some feedback from some of our fans actually saying, we missed just having you talk, the two of you do shows. So, in the last half year or so, I've kind of made a very intentional shift back towards more of a 50-50 type of mix. So there's a lot more of just shows with just Stomping Jen and I, and with close, personal friend guests who come on. Sometimes
we have our kids on here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so
they mostly don't want to come on.
No.
They're like, we don't want to sit and talk to you for an hour.
It's not fun for them anymore. So now we have, we're kind of got back to the old format of just the two of us. And then we, mix that in with interviews with people from the community. And it's not just, we try to focus on our region here, on Western Massachusetts, New England, but, we have had, people from outside of Massachusetts as guests. We had the actor Greg Sestero from the cult hit The Room on our podcast. Mm-hmm. People, actors and film stars. We've had directors and producers on here. Mm-hmm. Therese Schechter, who's a...
Therese.
Therese, yeah, sorry.
Say her name.
I know,
Therese.
It's the TH. I want to pronounce it
Anyways.
But, Therese Schechter, she's an award-winning filmmaker. We've had her on here.
Documentary.
Yeah.
We've had...
documentaries are films.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
This really feels like a podcast. I'm sorry, Dennis.
Everything is a podcast, even an interview.
No, I like it. I like this. I like this format. So
yeah. We've had a friend from high school who's an author and filmmaker from California on here. Like, yeah, we've had PhD like professors talking about subjects like Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Just like
So we will, although it started as a podcast about nothing, in some sense it's evolved to a podcast about anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically.
And I will sit down and Stomping Jen and I will talk to anybody, most anybody. I think there are conceptually some people who I might have such dramatic ideological differences with. I wouldn't want to talk to them. Possibly.
Wrong.
But I'd have to think really hard about it.
We've talked to like people about, pop culture stuff like movies or TV shows. Like we had a whole episode on WandaVision. We had a whole episode on The Mandalorian. It's kind of...
We'll do politics.
Yeah.
We did an election special in 2020.
Yeah.
You're not a nice person.
Yeah. So we'll talk about anything. But, Brad does a lot of the heavy lift. He prepares all the questions. He leads the interviews. He's very good at talking and facilitating. And I'm just here. My role is a lot of the time is getting people to come on, really actively trying to recruit people to come on. You do some of that too, but I do most of that. And then he does most of the heavy lift when it comes to like all the technical stuff and putting together the show and everything like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I do zero of that.
That might be the longest answer to a single question. You asked one question. That was like 10 minutes.
Oh, I'm trying to think about what you could put in the article.
No, I mean, that's good. Like, I love when people just kind of go on because it gives me more to write about and it makes my job easier at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of going on from that, where did the name for the podcast come from and where did you guys get your nicknames?
Yeah, I mean, my friends will tell you I stole it from them. We have a gaming group, and it's quite a remarkable thing in my mind. For 3 of these people I've known since elementary school. One of them I met a little bit later in my life, but he has slotted into our group kind of seamlessly. And,
so how'd they come up with Soft Serve?
We just wanted to come up with a name for our little gaming group. We were considering going to PAX East, which is a gaming convention one year. And we were going to make up, we wanted to make up jackets. It was a whole stupid thing we were going to do.
That's awesome.
And so we wanted to come up with a name for the group, so we just picked that.
Yeah. And
then because I wanted my friends, to be part of this podcast, I decided to name it the Soft Serve Podcast. But they ended up not wanting to be podcasters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then our aliases here on the podcast are our trail names.
Yeah.
Basically.
So I don't know if you're familiar with Appalachian Trail hiking.
Not too much.
Yeah. So, I mean, most people who are serious about hiking the Appalachian Trail have a trail name. And I've had the name Sawtooth Frank since, my college days. Yeah. That's my Appalachian Trail name, and also it's become my podcasting name.
Right. And then, I was bequeathed Stomping Jen along with the hikes way back in our college days. And
right. And
so it's been the name that I use for things. And I think Sawtooth too, like he's just used that as like a thing to use. And then it just turned into, that was our names on the podcast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. But how did I get my Stomping Jen name?
Well, Stomping Jen's name comes from the fact that when she's angry, she stomps her foot. It's the funniest thing you've ever seen. And mine, Sawtooth, comes from the fact that when I was a child, I had an ice skating accident, and I fell face first into the ice and shattered one of my teeth.
Ouch.
So I have a cap, obviously, now. But if you took it off, that tooth has a jagged edge. So
Like your heart.
like my heart. So
Sorry.
Sawtooth.
It's like a podcast right now. I'm sorry. I'm in podcast mode. You
Yeah.
made us go in this room.
Yeah.
It's a lot different than the select board.
So that's where the name comes from. It's that my initial group of friends that I used and recreated it for this space. Reframed.
Yeah.
Reshaped, reinvented.
And then, are there any guests or favorite topics you guys have spoken about during your time on the podcast that really stand out?
Oh God. I mean, we're up to now, next week will be our 170th episode. And to be honest, like every guest we have, this is why this is so fascinating to me. Every guest we have, I get a unique and interesting kind of like experience with. Mm-hmm. And they are all so different. I will say, like, some guests you connect with more, like mm-hmm. right out of the box, and the conversations are like super easy. I don't know. There's like this weird energy. Like sometimes you just connect with people, and those conversations, like you can feel them, they just feel easier. You get the skin tingles more when you're talking about stuff that is exciting and fascinating. And I'm not going to say which ones, but some conversations are more like work, mm-hmm. They just don't like flow as naturally or as easy.
For me, so because I like to go out and ask people to come on, I find topics that are interesting to me, and my biggest focus which ties into me being on the select board here in Belchertown, is that I'm extremely interested in economic development and using mm-hmm. The power of culture through art, and artists and musicians and all of that kind of energy to help revitalize areas and towns and help bring things to them. So for me, all of those conversations are the most exciting for me personally, because I'm truly interested in those topics and I want to learn from those people and take what I can learn from them and apply it here in Belchertown.
Are you apologizing for bringing on boring guests?
No, they're not boring.
I'm just kidding.
No, they're all exciting for me.
I'm kidding. I'm really only joking about that. I was trying to get Stomping Jen angry, so she'd stomp her foot.
But like we talked to Commonwealth Murals out of Springfield. She's her organization is bringing murals to the Springfield area and the Pioneer Valley, and I'm like super into street art and like always like wanting to put art on things. So like that conversations like that get me really jazzed up, and just talking to artists themselves.
Yeah, and that one stands out in my mind too as a conversation I went into not knowing anything about, right? It was mural painting or how any of that worked. And that was a conversation that kind of turned me on my ear, because Britt Rue, who is the director of Commonwealth Murals, or I forget what her actual title is, though.
ED, yeah.
The executive director. I mean, she told us so many stories about all of these individual people involved in it. And, there was one mural we were talking about and looking at, which involved a member of the community who had passed away. And, it's like those conversations, like you break out in goosebumps, right? And like totally unexpected from my perspective. I wasn't expecting it. So it's like almost every conversation has those little moments that make each conversation special and different from the other ones. Like, and at this point, like this far in, it's like I kind of try to check all my expectations at the door before a conversation, because I now have enough experience to know that everyone has the potential to be like great. Everyone
has a story.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. We were talking to this one artist just last week. First of all, this person didn't view themselves as being an artist. And I'd asked them, like, where do you draw your inspiration from as an artist? They're, should I say her name? Yeah, like Jen. Her name is Jen Wood from Speakman Sisters. They make hand dyed
natural
yarn, right? And like and in my mind, you know, she's an artist. As I got talking to her and understanding her process and how she thinks, you know, about drawing color out of nature, you know, by getting bugs and plants and mixing them all together. You know, in my mind, I was like, this person is an artist. And I asked her, I was like, where do you draw your inspiration from? And I think she said in the interview, like, first of all, nobody's ever asked me that. Nobody has ever asked me, you know, as an artist, how do you draw your inspiration? Like, and she's like, I don't know that I've ever thought of myself that way. I don't know.
Yes, and like when we were talking to Molly Hatch, who's a ceramicist, like we gave her some like insight, some question that you asked her, and she was like, "Oh my god!" She's like, "You're totally right." And she had never thought about the way that you would frame some concept for in the course of the conversation. You know,
Molly Hatch, who's a ceramicist based in Florence, I think.
Yep.
You know, her mother, I believe.
She grew up on a farm.
Her mother was a teacher, and I believe was an artist and like of some sort. And her father was a farmer. I kind of and there's something
it's
about
irrelevant. It was just the concept. Or sorry,
there's something about what she said. Like I really thought I was really thinking deeply about her and her art and her parents, and I just kind of like made a connection to what she did as an artist to like what her parents did, and it stopped her in her tracks a little bit. She was like, I'd never thought about that before.
Right.
Yeah. And part of that is like with every guest, like, so for me, it doesn't matter, you know, like Jen said, if they're somebody who's doing economic development, or an artist, you know,
or a
musician, you know, I spend a lot of time like going through their bios and looking at their art and whatever it is they have available for me to look at. You know, as an interviewer, I do try to spend a lot of time thinking about that person and what they're doing and why we're talking to them. And, you know, I put a lot of work into these interviews. I mean, it's my hobby, really, you know, so it's kind of what
his passion.
It's kind of what yeah, it is. And I think like anything, any passion though, what you quickly learn is if you want to do it well, right? And you want to evolve your passions, you have to put work into it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm more than 3 years into this now, and I feel I have so much to improve upon and so many ways to evolve still. You know, yeah, so I forget what the question was.
That's okay. I think it's irrelevant. We're giving him gold, giving him quotes. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just here for the ride. I got to be honest with you.
And how has the ride been?
I know. Brad always gets upset with me because he's like, "You don't put as much energy." But I'm like, it's truly it's his passion, right? Like, I'm happy to help with it, and I'm happy to like, you know, try to get people to come on and stuff. But really, it's him. You know.
Yeah.
He came up with the concept. He put all the pieces together. He does most of the work.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, it's interesting if you go back and you listen to episode 1 versus 170, it sounds very different, right? You know, I feel like I'm different as a as a host. I feel I'm much better now as a host. Mm-hmm. Technically, it sounds 1,000 times better. And people have said to me, your podcast sounds good, like excellent, like it's professionally produced. And like a lot of work went into that.
Yeah.
Like learning like all the different types of microphones, a condenser versus a dynamic. What kind of mixing board should I use? You know, what software do I use to mix it down? Compression, noise gates, like high pass filters, like all this stuff I had to learn. And I'm definitely somebody like I love to take on a challenge and learn something new. And with audio engineering, that certainly gives me a lot to figure out. Like I hear a hiss. If I hear a hiss, I go crazy trying to find the hiss. Like what's the source of the hiss?
This wire.
It's a wire, right. I have to change a wire. it's that kind of stuff.
It's plugged into this outlet. Blah,
yeah.
blah, blah.
And so, and I like it because there's still a lot to learn. I haven't told Stomping Jen this yet, but I'm considering changing my microphone again because I'm looking for a slightly different type of sound, possibly. We'll see. It's an expensive microphone.
It's fine.
So yeah, I mean, in terms of a project and a passion and a hobby, kind of with no ceiling, I feel like this is definitely it. Because, like I was saying before, to bring it back to the guests, like every guest is a new opportunity for me to push my boundaries, and evolve and grow as a podcaster and as a host. Right, Stomping Gem?
You should let him ask another question.
Yeah, sure.
Because you're interviewing.
I know. I'm interviewing myself now.
You are.
So I guess you just kind of talked about going forward. What are you kind of looking for from the podcast, like in the future, and how do you kind of hope it evolves and maybe you evolve as a podcaster?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really great question. I don't know. We got our first offer from somebody recently to potentially sponsor the show, right? In some way. And I don't know that, and I wrote back to this person, and I'm incredibly grateful for that offer. But I wrote back to them like, I don't know if that's what I want. I don't know if that's the direction we want to go in. We haven't really thought about it. So we're not doing this for money.
Yeah, we're not monetized. We don't ask for like subscriber fees or, everything's free. Our content is completely free. And our hope is really that people will continue to want to talk to us. It's a commitment to get somebody to come on for an hour or two to chat with us about, anything. A lot of people say, well, I don't feel comfortable talking. I'm nervous. I don't know what to say. But, it's because of the way that Brad, facilitates it. It really, like, an hour, 2 hours, goes by in a flash.
Yeah, we hear a lot from people. I was really nervous, but both of you put me at such incredible ease. It felt like I was just sitting in, a living room or, we were just having coffee together and talking. And a lot of that is by design. I think it's the way I structure my conversations with people. I don't even call them interviews anymore because that's not what they are. They're conversations. But in terms of where I want it to go, I would love for us to be recognized as, the kind of
the go-to podcast.
The go-to podcast in Western Massachusetts.
Yeah.
More broadly, New England, but I'm not chasing that. Mm-hmm. If it comes to us, it comes to us. And, even though I threaten it on nearly every show that I'm going to quit doing the podcast.
He has a reputation.
Even though
this is the last one.
Right. Even though I threaten to do that. And I've been doing that since, since the first week. Here we are 3 years later. I'll have to run out of interest in this. Before I do that. So I'd like our listenership to continue to grow. And just before you ask, I don't share that because with how many listeners we have,
0.
I know how many they are, and I'm really happy with the number
0.
But that's, for me, that's not the purpose of doing this, right? And I think
0.
a lot of people want to know that because they want to qualify you in some way, right? Yeah. And I'm not doing this for that. I could
0.
I could give a shit about it. I don't really care.
Yeah, it's frustrating because sometimes you'll ask somebody to come on and talk to you, and they'll be like, well, what is it? What am I going to get? They look at it as a promotion tool, so they want to know who your listeners are, right? So they want to know, are you hitting all the people that I want to hit, But that's not really what this is about. It's not about, there is some side that you do get promotion from it, but it really, More so, it's about, us having this conversation and learning more.
Yeah, and if you don't want to, and knowing how many listeners we have is a
Deterrent.
Zero.
a ticket for you to come on, then fuck off. That's like my I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. Like, fuck off. If that's all you care about, I really don't want to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
So we're not doing this for notoriety. We're not doing this to generate some massive number of listeners so we can get a sponsorship deal, or like, that's not what it's about. It's really a passion project. It's about loving this area we live in, right? And it's about giving back, to the community and the region, by not putting our stuff behind paywalls and making it free, and trying to bring like some interesting localish content and entertainment to the area.
Fake news.
Yeah. And like, also, the other thing is, I don't know how to phrase this, but like, I have such a passion and interest for what people are doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it's amazing to me that other people don't know about it. So I want to highlight them, like the Mill District in North Amherst, like people who don't know about that, like things that are happening in Springfield. Like, I want people to know about that. Holyoke, East Hampton. I want to bring that energy to Belchertown eventually. That's like my real like goal in life.
Mm-hmm.
But really just highlighting all the really cool stuff that's happening in the valley, for me, is super exciting.
Yeah, and for me, at the end of the day, I want to talk to people. I want a platform to be funny on. I want a platform to talk to Stomping Jen on. I want...
Nothing makes him happier than when people tell him how funny he is.
It's true. I'm still waiting for you, Dennis. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean,
He loves to be patted on the back.
yeah, absolutely. Who doesn't? But who doesn't? I mean,
Yeah.
we all want recognition.
Yeah,
we
it's true.
all want
To be told that what we're doing has worth.
to be told that we have worth, that we're good people, right?
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's like totally like a podcast.
Stomping Jen is trying to tell you that this whole thing is a effort to fulfill me in some way, right?
It's okay. That's
My
what
ego.
a passion project
Yeah.
is. That's why I do art. That's why I do all the things
Yeah.
I do. What else?
I guess, what's kind of your favorite part about podcasting?
For me,
How about I go first?
why don't you go first?
I'll go first. So my favorite, besides talking to the amazing people that we end up talking to, I also
Say
get
something
to
about
spend,
me.
You don't even give me the
Go
opportunity.
ahead.
Is literally having this thing that I do with my husband. That we sit down, for an hour or two. Weekly almost.
Weekly.
It is like
Yeah,
weekly.
we do.
It gives us something else to do besides watch TV
Yeah.
and like hang out with the kids and do that kind of life stuff. So it's like a thing.
Yeah, I mean, we are married. We've been married for over 20 years.
Not 20 years. Yes.
Over 20.
years, yeah.
How dare you?
We've been together 25.
Yeah, we've been together 25 years. And I think I won't add anything to what Stomping Jen said, because I think she said it perfectly. But aside from all of that stuff, it's just, yeah, I mean, I love my favorite part of doing this is like when you really connect with somebody you didn't know, and there's just that like magical energy in the conversation, and you can see them getting something out of it, that maybe they weren't expecting, and then, obviously, it's so, it's like, it's almost like a drug, like that connection, like a good conversation. And I say this to Stomping Jen all the time. Like we record like usually a little later in the evening, like 8 to 10. And sometimes I'll have trouble sleeping because my adrenaline is so high. Right after like a really good conversation, like so charged up.
My favorite is like when I schedule somebody and you're like, who is this person? Why are we talking to them?
Yeah.
And we have the greatest conversation.
And that's the beauty of it, is because, I have to throw myself into that process, right? Yeah. And that's part of what I love about the process is Stomping Gem, somebody will appear on the calendar. I literally have no idea who they are or what they do. And after, learning about them, I could start to feel myself get excited. And then you sit down and talk to them, and it's just awesome. That's my favorite. That's my favorite part, is getting to sit down and talk with Jen here. And also just meeting all of these amazing people. Yeah.
And then where can people go to listen to the podcast?
Anywhere. I mean, so if you're familiar with podcasting, like as a platform, we're on every
Spotify,
every podcasting app. All you have to do is type in Soft Serve Podcast.
We also have a brand new website.
Yep, we have a website. It would be awesome if you wanted to promote that for us in the article. So that's just softservepodcast.com. There are links to listen there. We're on, what's that one with the dog? Sirius?
What?
Sirius. Its logo is a dog with a star in its eye. We're on Sirius.
We're on all the regular podcast apps that you can, Apple, Podbean,
Spotify. We're on that.
We're on all the things.
Yep, we're on Spotify.
We have a brand new website. And then, the other thing is, going back to like where we want to go, like we do want to have some like merch out there at some point. We just haven't pulled that together. We have like stickers and like we had a local tattoo artist design us up like a cool concept art.
Yeah.
And I'd love to do more of that kind of stuff and put it on t-shirts and shit. But we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but you can find us anywhere that podcasts are. We're there.
Anywhere.
Yeah, it's true.
Anywhere where the podcasts
are. It's true.
It is true.
Trying to think if there's anywhere else. YouTube. We're on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to stuff on YouTube.
But we don't record video when we... Yeah. Some podcasts do, but we don't.
No video. This isn't made for video.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to see us.
Yeah. YouTube. Where else are we?
All the places.
Yeah, that's it.
YouTube.
All the places.
Yep. And we're on Instagram and Facebook.
Oh yeah, yep. You can follow us on Instagram. That's where I advertise on Instagram and Facebook. So we're on there.
That's where you promote.
We have accounts. Yeah, we have accounts and pages there, so people.
And if you're interested in like talking to us and being on the podcast, there's a submittal form through our website.
Yeah. Yep. Submit the form.
We also have a donate button because the stuff costs money because we don't monetize, but the stuff that we use costs money. Yeah. So we do have a donate button, but that's only like
if somebody wanted to.
If people felt so compelled. We don't really even ask people.
No. Yeah. It's not something we're after, so.
All right. I think that pretty much covers all my questions, unless there's anything else you guys want to add about the podcast.
No. I'm just curious, when are you thinking the article might run?
It should be a week from today.
Okay, cool. So next week. All right. Awesome. If you need anything else, just, I guess, let us know, right?
Do you guys think you could send along like a picture of you like in the...
Oh yeah.
We have professional pictures.
Yeah, absolutely. We could send you a bunch. Like Stomping Gem said, we had a local photographer come in and do some stuff for us. So we can send that.
Those would be great.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. Do you need those like by tomorrow-ish?
If you could send them to me by tomorrow morning.
Sure.
Today might even be better just because I'm writing this up as soon as we get off the phone here.
Yeah.
So
I can also send along decent resolution copies of like our logos and stuff if you want.
Okay. I think I should just need the pictures of you guys and that should be okay.
Okay. Yeah, sure. We'll send that along.
All right.
Okay. Dennis, thank you.
No, thank you guys. This was cool.
It's been a pleasure. Let me ask a question, and if you say no, that's okay. Like if we turned this into an episode after you published the article, would you be open to that or no?
Yeah, that should be fine. I can just run it by my editor, but I don't think it should be an issue.
Okay. Yeah, just let us know. And if you want to tell us again, what's the name of your newspaper?
Reminder Publishing.
Reminder Publishing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And if we do turn this into an episode, we'll do a preamble where we talk about your paper and promote that and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We'll do like a 15-minute intro, that sort of thing.
Preamble.
So a preamble. So yeah, let us know about that, and then thank you again for reaching out to us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you again for speaking with me. It was really cool.
Cool. This was fun.
Yeah. Do you guys know how the recording works for this? I haven't really recorded on Zoom before. Does it just automatically save it? Yeah. So what'll happen I work in IT, so I know all this stuff, and I work with Zoom. So when you stop recording, the recording is going to appear in your My Documents folder. Mm-hmm. Are you on a Windows machine or a Mac? Yeah.
They'll be in the Zoom folder or in your My Documents folder. There will be something called My Documents or Recordings. It will be in a folder. You'll see it there. Yeah. You
can also always look in your settings for Zoom and see where it stores.
Yeah.
Meeting recordings.
But it will be saved locally on your machine.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Recording stopped.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dad.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Well, what did you think of that?
Oh my God, it's like a podcast.
Put your headphones back on.
Oh, wait, we're still on?
Yeah, we're recording. Oh, what did you think of that conversation? Now that he's not here.
You're so funny.
What do you think? Will this article be a hit job?
Oh my gosh, no.
A hatchet job?
No, he'll be fine.
You think it'll be fine? Okay.
You have us on or on mute?
No, we're recording.
Your board looks like it's all lit up.
Like you do not know what the fuck you're looking at, number one.
Well, I don't.
Ready? This is muted. Muted.
Okay.
Muted. Okay?
Got it.
Muted.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay.
I've been doing this for 3 years. I know what recording looks like.
Okay.
Anyways, what'd you think about that? I don't think I was funny enough.
Oh my God. You know, it's not like
I should have made joke. Routine. I should have made joke answers.
He's gonna write an article,
but it should have been jokes.
It's not a joke. You don't want it to be a joke. You want it to be an article that gets people interested in looking and listening to our podcast.
You do?
I guess that's the point.
All right.
That's like real promotion.
Yeah. Do you think we should use this at some point?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to it. All right. Well, people, if you are actually listening to this, that means we decided to use it. And you just heard us do an interview with a reporter. What was the name of that newspaper?
The Reminder.
The Reminder.
I have to remind you about the Reminder.
I can't fucking remember. I told the guy they put it in a fucking trash bag and throw it on your driveway. They should put it in your mailbox or something.
I think people get upset if you put things in their mailbox.
I think they get upset when you...
Actually, it's federally illegal to put anything that's not, like, mailed in your mailbox.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why, like, newspapers have that separate, like, little box.
Is the Reminder new and upcoming?
So, I think they, like he said...
I know what we can do. You're going to Mexico, and you're not going to be here. I'll put this out that week.
Okay, you're shouting at me.
It's okay. I have a compressor on. I can shout.
All right. I have to go back to work. Love you.
Wait.
I know.
Wait.
Listeners.
You can't put it in a mailbox?
You cannot put not mailed things in a mailbox.
Okay.
It's illegal.
All right. Well, listen, I hope you enjoyed hearing our interview with Dennis from the Reminder newspaper from
Hackett.
East Longmeadow. And subscribe to our show if you like it.
I used your Christian name the whole time.
It's fine. Download episodes. Go to our website. Check that out.
Is it a Christian name?
I'm not Christian.
What do they call?
I'm a fucking atheist. My government name.
Government name.
My government name.
Got it.
It's on the website. People know it's Brad. Did I just come out of the name closet?
Apparently.
Anyways, thanks for listening, and
all the things.
Yeah,
Bye now.
Bye now.
This world of ours, ever growing smaller, must avoid becoming a community of dreadful fear and hate. Those who have freedom will understand also its heavy responsibility. That all who are insensitive to the needs of others will learn charity, and that the sources, scourges of poverty, disease, and ignorance will be made disappear from the earth. And that in the goodness of time, all peoples will come to live together in a peace guaranteed by the binding force of mutual respect and love. I shall never cease to do what little I can to help the world advance along that road.